I love ballet because I think it's the embodiment of what human achievement can express. It goes to the heart of the definition of creativity. And the result is not a thing. It's an inspiration about what excellence can feel like and many times look like.
Kevin McKenzie is one of the greatest coaches of all time.
Keep your arabesque and then go through. Yeah, so it has to do with where you are from this moment when she's in the attitude, that you need to give her more space so that you can make a point of, sorry.
He always tries to find a way that you're going to look the best and you're going to exceed it.
Hold this part of your back so that you're up there, but you're not reaching, that you're up and you're turning your whole back.
There's not much more you can ask for in a career or from an artistic director than what Kevin brought into the studio and into all of his aspects of his work.
I sort of fell into dance. I serendipitously attended a tap dance class that a schoolmate of mine was going to, that my father had actually encouraged me to do. His quote was, "You never know, boy, you might be the next Fred Astaire." So after about a few months, my father said, "Show me what you know, boy." And he said, "Well, you're not very coordinated, are you? And maybe you should go to your sister's ballet class." And I was like, "I'm not doing that." They made a deal with me. Go with your sister and have a private lesson in ballet for 3 times in a row. If you don't want to do it after that, you don't. And I was hooked after 3 times. How my mother connected to Mary Day, I have no idea. But Mary said, "Bring him down, let's take a look." We had this crazy audition where I had choreographed something for my sister and I, where the big finale is we ran in circles around the room and then we met in the center, and Maureen stuck her leg out and I grabbed her by the waist and took her by the leg and held on, and she picked her foot up off the floor, And Mary Day literally fell off the bench laughing, and basically gave us a scholarship right then and there and said, "Bring them in September."
We first danced together when he was at Mary Day's Washington School of Ballet, in the Washington Ballet. He's always been passionate about dance. He was ambitious, eager to learn. Skinny legs and big feet, and he could spin like a top.
Around about the age of 15, ballet theater would come through town, and they would use our studios to rehearse. Mary Day made sure that it was okay and it was clear that I could be that little kid in the corner sitting watching Eric Bruin and Carla Fracci, work out their mime scenes, and Giselle and Yvonne Nage and Makarova working out what they were going to do in Second Act Swan Lake. And I was fascinated with the storytelling that I had been watching these great artists work out in the studio. And dance was the medium. That was their language. I thought, wow, I'm going to do this. If they want me to be janitor, that's what I'm willing to do to get into ballet theater. I come home with a silver medal from Varna, and I'm on my way to ballet theater. And she said, I think you should 1 year join the National Ballet of Washington, tour, figure out what it means to actually take care of yourself in order to do what you want to do. Just 1 year, that's all I ask. And I had such a ball, I stayed 2 years. And then I went, I'm ready. So I went to New York. During that time, Robert Joffrey called me on my home phone. And I was like, woo, how did this guy get my home number? Inviting me to come audition, which I did, and he offered me a contract. And now here I was 21 and gone to Joffrey. And I was there until I was 25. And every year I was there, I would audition for ABT. And there was never room for me. By 1979, I was, about 24, 25. My wife, Martine, she was dancing, obviously, at ABT.
I was the principal with ABT at the time, and I had asked for a pas de deux that I had seen Kevin McKenzie dance with the Joffrey Ballet. When my partner was unavailable, injured, in order to be able to perform, I said, I know someone. So that's when Ken was asked to dance with American Ballet Theater with me.
Lucia gave me a soloist contract after the performance. That's the moment where I was like, oh my God, this is really happening. I was joining the company of my heroes.
He was a good fit. He was a wonderful partner.
You always looked fabulous when you were dancing with Kevin. He was so solid, he was so grounded, and you feel like you could just run at him flying in the air and then he would catch you and you would look beautiful.
My goal after dancing by the time I was hitting the end of my career was to choreograph. I was deeply inspired by Tudor. I was deeply inspired by Yuri Killian. And I had a vast knowledge at this point of classical ballet technique. And I thought I could develop something unique here. And next thing I know, the chairman was calling me and asked me if I would come and interview for the artistic directorship. And of course I did it. And that's when I started to develop the personal credo of you don't know what you don't know until you find that out. But that's okay. As long as you're working with what you do know and you're doing it as best you can, you'll figure out what you don't know.
I'm sure it was probably a difficult transition for him because he literally was a dancer at ABT 2 years before, and we were all his colleagues, and then suddenly he was the boss.
To be part of that moment when Kevin came into the company and the company just like took off, it was amazing.
Dancers from different parts of the world, they came together and we became a very strong family of dancers led by Kevin. And I think that vision and that understanding of what the company needed at that time, it was quite impressive.
And that was all Kevin's vision. He let us be unique. Not everybody had to be the same.
In the 90s, the roster of principal men were the best men dancing in the world at that time, and they all were on ABT's roster.
To be part of the history of the what they used to call the leading men of ABT at the time, and it was pretty amazing how quickly he made me grow and guide me on my artistry and how to channel all my energy. Because when I joined the company, I was like a firecracker.
One of the biggest things about Kevin is he's a fantastic coach.
I think that Kevin's talent is very much the ability to nurture and to coach. For him, dancers not only to do the right steps at the right time, but to give them the understanding of the roles they're doing.
He wasn't just a director who would be in the office, but he was always in the studio, always working. And not only that, but he would take me and fly me and do all this because he could do it. He could, he was an incredible dancer.
I wouldn't say it affected the course of my career, but one that really affected the course of ABT was securing Alexei Ratmansky as artist in residence.
In 2009, I didn't know Kevin. I just knew him as a dancer. I knew his name.
I saw in him an ability to tell a story in a way that I had not really seen before.
What I appreciate the most is that he gives me a lot of freedom, but he's there when I am in trouble.
JKO did start under Kevin, and many of the principals who are currently principals today grew up through this school.
I first joined ABT at the JKO school. I think it's some of the best classical training that you can receive.
I came to the JKO school on scholarship. I received the Ethan Stiefel Award. I learned so much in those first couple of years just from the other students who were so good.
The importance of the JKO school is to train dancers as you want them to be trained to join your company.
They have grown up watching, like I did, their heroes dance, and then evolved to join in their ranks and then to actually interact with them and gain some of their knowledge and pay it forward. I'm proud of the culture of camaraderie.
It does feel like a family, and Kevin has been instrumental in creating this family atmosphere.
Kevin made ABT a very, very special place. And he really took care of all of us, like a family. I think that's why all the dancers wanted to be at ABT.
In any career, the most you can ask is to have made a difference. And when I think about Kevin, I think that he has accomplished all of that and more.
He's, generous in the studio, he was generous on stage, and he's also generous to all of his colleagues around him.
Running joke with a former associate director that encompasses my entire directorship. And that's the dynamic of our Met season. But at the end of the first week, you felt like you'd been there 8 weeks. And by closing night, it felt like you'd just gotten there that week. I kind of feel that about my directorship. Like the first 4 years were a lifetime. And this last year feels like 2 weeks.